And now it's time for the big guy.
Spiky Bits.
Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. I'm Rob Barrett from SpikyBits.com, and in this video we're gonna unbox and build and, well, I guess see if it's possible to even magnetize the new Angron Daemon Primarch model for Warhammer 40k. And you know, this has been a long time coming. I think for a lot of people, they've been really excited to actually get this model. And of course, you know, World Eaters are definitely a fan favorite. And it's kind of the first Daemon Primarch we've gotten in about 4 or 5 years, I want to say. You know, after Magnus, or excuse me, I guess that would be Mortarion was the most recent. In what, 8th? I guess that would be 8th edition Warhammer 40k. So this guy is going to be 160 retail now for the 2 sprues, and actually I want to say this is a 90mm base, but we'll find out here in a second when we take a look at the instructions. And speaking of which, let's kind of jump into that, because I think this is going to be really interesting to see how or what we can actually do with this miniature as far as storage and options. All right, so taking a look here, it looks like he's on a 100mm base, which is cool. I think that's the same size as the armatures and the repulsor tank there. And as far as assembly goes, well, he's got another Cadbury Easter bunny, it looks like right here. So he's got that, gonna have a little bit of a hollow inside here that's gonna build up the slices. I'm hoping with his color-coded sections here that it's easy to put together for all the different halves. But there's gonna be a lot of hollow areas there, which is generally good for magnetization. Just kind of looking at this here, it looks like the heels and some of the claws are going to be separate, and if I had to guess, the pinions and stuff on the wings are going to be separate too. This looks like it would be a little difficult to do if you forget it. Right here, the groin plate, or the groin tabard, so to speak, I guess, is what that is. So definitely do that one. At least same with this back. Like if you forget to glue on the wings and then you're trying to put this back piece on, I could see where that would be a bit of an issue. Looks like some sort of armor because he does have skin right there. And there are options. And here's more armor plates. They said that you could, I'm just looking at this now. Okay, so they said you still gotta put this back on, is what it looks like, because you build the head and the head actually goes into it. Now the head has 2 options. You got this predator looking kind of face here, or you can go with like the open kind of snarling thing, and all the wing pinions are going to be separate bits. And it looks like the wings themselves are 2 different pieces, at least for the right wing and the left wing as well right there. So that can get a little tedious. You're going to want to scrape all your mold lines and everything probably right there. The arms, again, look to be all slices and a lot of hollow areas inside. I don't think you really want to magnetize that. Well, let's take a look at the wings. Can you magnetize those? Nope, not really. They glue on around the arms, it looks like. So that's a little bit of a bummer, because that would be good to magnetize those and slice right here to actually be able to take those off and store him. So now it's going to look like you're going to want to magnetize him on the base and put him inside of something, and that seems to be the best way to go. Looking at this right here, so then he's got all his extra corn symbols and pipes and all different things. Looks like some armor or shoulder pads are going to have some pieces you glue on the inside before you glue them in, so don't glue those down, glue those in first. You got some random looking hoses here, very similar to what they did with the Daemon print, so that will be, it looks like those will go together. I can't see the back here. They don't really tell you where they lock into. Oh, here they are right here. So they don't really give you the rear position, because I can see where that's going to be a little bit of a concern. But hopefully they lock in, and there's a little nubs and such. And then you've got the rocks and things, and then you're going to glue it down to the base here. Now, one of the things that I've shown you in the past that you may want to consider using is some of this Liquitex resin sand, because this is going to build up a nice base around this stuff and make it nice and flush with the actual base underneath and give it a bit of texture. Whereas normally you would just have, or it looks like you've glued shit on a base, right? And that's not exactly the coolest thing sometimes. So I can see where people might want to decorate that up and then have, you know, some more stuff in there, you know, kind of work, because you can see what GW did here with the texture. So that's kind of what I'm feeling right there. Let's jump into the sprues real quick and get a feel for those. Here are the two sprues, and they are a bit chunky here. Let's hold them up and get them a little closer to the camera. So they are going to have lots of hollow interiors for all the parts that you're going to build, but it's nice and detailed. The sword's got some flat areas here, so you can do some fades and stuff, and it's got some detail, so you can do you know, some nice detail on the bones and have a good glow. Same right here, a bunch of detail inside the axe, and so there's definitely a lot of detail here. GW always packs it in. Its design sometimes it's a little off-putting because sometimes you don't get all the mold lines and things off, but it looks like the plane will be right where you won't have as many of those, and with the overlaps and things, you can definitely keep his chest off like we saw, because here's the chest plate right here. But I don't know if you're going to want to, because like I said, you have to build up the back, like this piece right here has to attach to him, so he looked kind of weird with just his back armor and maybe not, you know, the rest of his chest armor and such. And then here's the wings, and the wings got this indented membrane in them, which is really nice. You can do some really nice washes and some highlighting and some glazing and things here to really make these pop. And these are very large pinions here to glue onto this, so I can see where that's going to be a little tedious work gluing those in. Not too worried about it. They look okay. And the tails got a lot of segmented areas here, which looks really good. Now it'll be fun to paint. And then all the chains and the different things that you can glue onto them is very well done as well, from what I can see right here. And then here's some parts of his head and all this different tubing and such. And we've seen stuff like this in detail like this on Hellbrutes and some of the demonically possessed war engines and things. That's a lot of tubes. I'm not sure where all those go quite yet. Even though we looked at the instructions, not quite sure on that one. So let's build them up and kind of see what all it takes, and I'll let you know any gotchas on this particular model. And here is the model all put together. So we opted for the kind of the open face here, which I think is probably the better play. I didn't realize he had this many tubes and things, definitely on his arms, and then back there that we talked about running from the front as well. But the posing, I mean, he's very striking. He's very intimidating miniature on a 100 mil base. You know, he in frame he looks really big, but compared to his other brother Primarchs, he's actually kind of small. He's shockingly small from what I'm seeing here. Now, a couple of things to be aware of. There are some going to be, depending on how you assemble it, there are going to be some hard areas to paint, like the stuff like down in here. Even if, like I said in the video, if you forget to glue this part on when you're assembling it and then have to come back in and pop it in, that could be a bit of an issue for sure. Back here, this armor plate area, if you forget and you get these wings on and you're like, oh crap, and then you got to get those on there. There's also tubes from the wings down to the Space Marine power plant backpack thing right here. So lots and lots of tubes, like we saw in the video that I wasn't quite tracking, that you're going to want to be aware of. There really isn't any other alternative build for this. You could perhaps keep the legs off here and magnetize those, but and then for storage. But I mean, at that point, you've already got the wings are already way bigger than the base, I feel like. So the problem isn't necessarily that he's attached to the base; it's that the wings are so big. So you're going to want to look, you know, for some plastic storage options. I think you could do foam, and you know, foam is always a great idea. But sometimes if you don't have everything cut quite right, it can be a bit of an issue. So I wanted to go ahead and measure this guy just to give you an idea of how tall he is before we do some comparisons. So he's about 6.5 inches tall, give or take, on this base right here. Like I said, he looks really big and intimidating here, but you know, once you start comparing him to some other miniatures like the Ultramarine Primaris right here, you start, oh, holy cow, he's not really that big. And remember, the new Khorne Berserkers are actually about this big, and we built some up, and I was going to do a separate video on them, but we just don't really have the time today, unfortunately. We've got a lot going on. GW price increases, you know, over the time right now. It's a lot going on with that, and I got to be honest with you, we can only do so much here, unfortunately. So I'd much rather get this content out for you and get you one really solid video than two crappy videos, right? So yeah, the Berserkers all go together. You know, short story here. They go together well. They have these really different shoulder pads here on this side. They're a lot shorter. They have that, it's more of a gladiator look, and then you have a couple with the normal ones on here. But these, for the most part, go on this side here, and they are all about the same size as a Primaris Marine. So if you've been looking forward to the new Berserkers in Angron, you definitely won't be disappointed at all. Now let's compare him, because he's spectacular. This is going to be really fun to paint with all the detail and all the hoses and all the armor plating, everything on here. Like I said, don't forget, use some of that Liquitex resin sand to kind of paint in around this to get the texture all right. I did that actually here on Magnus with the same Liquitex sand and some resin base parts here from Micro Art Studios that match my other Demon army, and that really turned out well. And you can do the same exact thing for your Angron or any miniature actually that has basically those glue-on bits for the bases. So here's a comparison with him and Mortarion. And like I said, he looks great in the frame by himself, but once you start getting the other brother Primarchs kind of lined up with him, he's a little bit small, but definitely packed with detail still for sure. Like, does not disappoint whatsoever. And then here's Magnus, which I just showed you his base there. So Magnus has that really wide, very regal wingspan, and well, Angron's a little bit smaller, but not too crazy, I suppose, as far as like if his wings were up, he'd probably be about the same size. It's just the way he's kind of sculpted here. It's probably not really helping him that much as far as size goes. And then the big baddie, this is Kabanda, the new resin Kabanda model, and we have an Angrath here, but Angrath's about the same size as Kabanda, so I feel like we didn't need to grab him. And here's how Angrath kind of compares to, or Angron kind of compares to him. So shockingly small, believe it or not, shockingly small. Remember, this is a 170 millimeter round. This is only a 100 millimeter round base there, so a little bit smaller than I would have guessed. But again, not too ridiculous, and I don't feel like people will be disappointed with him. Same thing with this Bloodthirster model. He's going to be smaller than that just because his wings aren't up and aren't doing the same thing. But I think stature wise, he's definitely bigger than the Bloodthirster. Just the posing and such on his wings really doesn't kind of help with the size comparison there. So overall, I think he's still a chunky beast. Definitely a thick lord, so to speak. But just the posing's maybe not quite what it could be. You know, the running and crouching makes you look more like a little bit teenier than perhaps he really is. Well, here we are, the end of the video. Lots of time has passed, but man, let me tell you what. This model, I think it was definitely worth the wait. It is a little small in stature, but I think the detail and the anticipation definitely makes up for it as a whole, and just the fact that it is a very exciting and dynamic pose, regardless of how tall it might be or how it compares to the Primarchs. But this is a miniature that's been a long time coming for a lot of folks, and I can definitely see where this is going to get quite a many people interested in maybe running world eaters and things like that with a more simplified codex overall, and kind of ramping into a new edition of the game that looks to be hopefully a little bit more simplified by the rules. I think this is a great time to kind of pick up and get into something that's just really, well, it's just a bunch of berserkers running across the board at the end of the day. And it would make a really fun painting project as well. It's just kind of something to throw on the shelf there. But just be careful with the assembly and those kind of little gotcha moments there. And, there's plenty of space on the bottom to put a couple magnets. In the past, we have, and I guess I should have talked about this already, but I didn't, forgive me. We just put some big old, what are those? I want to say those are 5/16 inch magnets on the bottom. You can use green stuff, you can use glue, you can use epoxy, whatever's convenient and easier for you. And then, just the normal the way to put a magnet plate in the bottom of whatever plastic container you're running, or the battle foam magna racks, or I think they're the only people that actually make something and go, oh, the A case, you can use them too. They're pretty good. I'm not sure if he would fit an A case. I guess he probably would. Yeah, he's probably about the same size there. But whatever storage solution you're looking to do, if you want to magnetize them or do the foam, just make sure, measure twice and cut once, I guess, when it comes to that. So that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching our unboxing build of the newest and latest Daemon Primarch. Only one more to go for Warhammer 40k. Don't forget, you can always get your hobbies for less from dicehead.com, Amazon, and hopefully your local game store as well.
If you liked that video feature, consider supporting us over at patreon.com and get back in the mail each month a miniature crate full of some of the stuff we review here, as well as some of the top 3D artist designs out there too, to help support what they're doing. Plus, discount coupon codes from some of those same manufacturers. They're yours to keep, whether you cancel or stay on. It's totally up to you. Obviously, we want to keep you as happy as possible. So check it out over at patreon.com/spikybits.